Chapter 1: Betrayal's Final Bite. The water tasted like almonds. That should have been my first warning. I'd drawn this batch myself from my dimensional spring and purified it with my own abilities. Spring water doesn't taste like almonds. Cyanide does. But I was thirsty, and Derek was smiling at me the way he used to when we first dated, and I wanted so desperately to believe he still loved me that I'd drink it anyway. The paralysis hit before the glass touched the table. My fingers went numb first, then my arms, my legs, my tongue. Everything froze except my mind, sharp, alert, screaming inside a prison of unresponsive flesh. "Make sure to drain her spring water before sending her out." Derek's voice was casual, clinical, like discussing taking out the trash. In the apocalypse, even a useless wife should contribute something. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, could only watch as Elena, beautiful, manipulative Elena, wrapped her arms around my husband's waist and kissed his neck. Her doe eyes sparkled with triumph. "See your husband?" she whispered in my ear, her breath hot with satisfaction. "Not yours anymore. He never was, really. You were just a resource, a convenient storage unit with legs." My mind screamed. My body did nothing. They carried me like cargo through the base I'd helped build, past the people I saved with my water manipulation, who turned away when they saw me. "She was getting suspicious," Derek explained to his brother. "Started asking about her mother. Had to move up the timeline." "My mother? I sent money to the cancer patient every month." "The old woman died 3 months ago," Derek continued. "I intercepted the hospital calls. Jenna kept sending money to a dead woman's account. Pathetic, really." 3 months. My mother had died alone while I fought zombies to keep these parasites fed. The exterior door opened. The smell hit first. Rot, death, decay. Then the sounds. Moaning, shuffling, wet, tearing noises. The zombie horde is waiting outside the walls. "Any last words?" Derek asked. I couldn't speak, but my eyes said everything. "I loved you. I saved you. I would have died for you." His eyes said, "I know. That's why this was so easy." They threw me over the wall. The zombies came slowly at first, curious, hungry. The first bite took my calf muscle, teeth tearing through flesh, scraping bone. The second took my shoulder. The third went for my throat but got my arm instead. This is how I die, I thought. Betrayed by love, murdered by trust. The pain was transcendent, biblical. My consciousness is fragmenting, scattering like seeds in the wind. And in that moment of perfect agony, I heard a voice. "Will you bind with me now?" The system, the mysterious interface I'd gotten after killing the Zombie King, while Derek and the others watched from safety. The prize they'd congratulated me for winning, never knowing what it actually was. I'd been too afraid to activate it. "Will you let me save you?" I couldn't speak, but I thought, screamed mentally with every shred of dying consciousness, "Yes, yes, please!" Contract accepted. Host compatibility 97%. Beginning resurrection protocol. Warning, this will hurt. The system didn't heal my body, it rewound it. Cells regenerated backwards, wounds closed in reverse. Death itself played in rewind. My consciousness stretched across time like taffy, experiencing every second of my death in reverse simultaneously. The agony multiplied, fractalized, became infinite. And then I was falling through time itself. Back. 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 Through 3 years of apocalypse, through the outbreak, through the before times. "Jenna, where's breakfast?" My in-law's voice, sharp, demanding, alive. I opened my eyes. A familiar ceiling, the water stain in the corner looked like a rabbit. My in-law's house.
The bedroom Derek and I shared when we visited. My hands, whole, undamaged, alive, gripped the sheets. I sat up slowly, gasping. I looked at the calendar on the wall. December 3rd, 6 months before the apocalypse. I stood and walked to the mirror. My face stared back, younger, healthier, unmarked by the scars of survival. I was 26 again, still married, still trapped. But not anymore. A translucent blue interface flickered to life.
System active. Host, Jenna Williams. Status, reborn, 182.5 days pre-outbreak. Primary mission, collect 1,000 crystal cores for vaccine synthesis. Abilities, dimensional storage, infinite. Water manipulation, intermediate. Secondary mission, survive. I smiled at my reflection, not with joy, with purpose. Chapter 2. The Price of Freedom. I went through the motions that morning, prepared breakfast, ironed clothes, chose my mother-in-law's dress for the family celebration at the high-end restaurant Derek had booked. When I told them to wait for me to get ready, my mother-in-law said exactly what I knew she would. "You don't need to come. You always wanted to visit your parents. You can go today. Just make sure to clean the house first." In my previous life, I'd argued. This time, I smiled and asked Derek for money for travel. He gave it with a beaming face. Then I packed my things they'd stolen from me, my gold bracelet from my mother-in-law's drawer, my gold earrings, Derek's secret stash of money, all the gifts I'd given them over the years. I called a real estate agent for a rapid sale. Time to sell the apartment my parents had bought for me, the one worth $8 million that Derek thought was his. It wasn't. I'd never changed the deed to include his name. The real estate office was cold despite the December chill. $8 million, cash sale only, no negotiation, I told the agent. She studied my face, then nodded. "I'll put out some calls." On the third call, her expression changed. "Ryan Mitchell is on his way. He'll be here in 30 minutes. My heart stopped. Ryan Mitchell, the village boy who'd become the city's most notorious businessman, the man who'd bought my apartment in my previous life, who'd arrived at Riverside 18 months into the apocalypse with fire user Marcus Taylor, who'd become one of my most trusted allies before I died. "Perfect," I said. 30 minutes later, the door opened. Ryan Mitchell filled the doorway. 6'3" of calculated menace, shoulders broad enough to block the sun, an expensive suit that somehow made him look more dangerous, not less. 5 armed bodyguards flanked him. His eyes swept the room in 3 seconds, then landed on me and stopped. "Miss Williams." His voice was deeper than I remembered. Rougher. "Mr. Mitchell." He dismissed his men and sat across from me. "You're young to own an $8 million apartment." "My parents bought it. It's legally mine." "And you're selling it fast, for cash." His eyes narrowed. "Why?" I held his gaze steadily. "Because I'm running toward something, not away from something." His mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "What are you running toward?" "Survival." The word hung between us. "I'll give you $8 million, cash, transferred within the hour. But I want to know, are there problems? Debt? Angry husbands?" "There is a husband," I admitted, "but he's not on the deed. He's currently living there with his family. They're squatters." "You want them removed?" "I don't care how you remove them. That's your problem after the sale." Ryan smiled, a real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. "I like you. You're direct." "I'm practical." He pulled out his phone. "The money will transfer in 30 minutes. You have my word." "Your word?" I couldn't help the bitter laugh. His expression shuddered. "I understand. But I keep my promises, Miss Williams. Always.
It's the only thing that separates me from common thugs. Something in his tone made me study him carefully. There was no deception in those dark eyes, just straightforward honesty and deep weariness. This was a man who'd killed, yes, but a man who kept his word. "All right," I said quietly. "I believe you." He pulled out a business card. "If you ever need help, call me." "Where are you going after this?" I asked as he stood. "Riverside, to see my parents." "Riverside?" His expression flickered. "That's where I grew up." "I know." He froze. "How?" "My father knows your parents. Knew them. I'm sorry for your loss." His jaw tightened. "That was a long time ago. Grief doesn't follow timelines." My phone buzzed. $8 million, exactly as promised. "Take care of yourself, Miss Williams." "Jenna. Call me Jenna." "Ryan." He smiled. "Take care of yourself, Jenna." Chapter 3. Coming Home. The bus ride to Riverside took 4 hours through mountain roads. I'd forgotten how beautiful it was. My parents lived on the eastern edge, where forest met cultivation. Their house was small, but home in a way the expensive apartment had never been. I saw my father first, watering tomato plants in the greenhouse. 62 years old, still strong, still alive. In my previous life, he died defending the village from raiders. "Dad!" I ran to him and threw my arms around his waist. The watering can clattered to the ground. "Silly girl," he laughed, then felt my tears. "Wait, Jenna? What's wrong? Did Derek hurt you?" My mother's voice came from the kitchen. "Jenna?" She ran to us, and I grabbed her in a crushing embrace. She smelled like ginger and lemongrass, like safety. "I'm sorry," I gasped through sobs. "I'm sorry, Mom, Dad. I couldn't save you. I couldn't." "Shh, shh." My mother stroked my hair. "You're not making sense, baby." "Everything. The apocalypse. The zombies." I choked on the words. "You both died, and I couldn't stop it." "Jenna." My father's voice was sharp. "What are you talking about?" I pulled back. "I need to tell you something, and it's going to sound insane." We sat at the kitchen table where I'd done homework as a child. I told them everything. The apocalypse, the zombies, the betrayal, my death, the system, my rebirth. I showed them my bank account, $8 million. I activated my spatial storage and made a teacup vanish, then reappear. I manipulated water in a glass, forming it into a spinning sphere. They didn't interrupt, just listened, faces growing more serious. Then my father stood and checked every window, locked the door, drew the curtains. "Show me the system interface," he said quietly. "I can't. It's only visible to me." "Then describe it. Everything." I did. The quest, the 1,000 crystal cores, the vaccine synthesis protocol. My mother's hand found my father's. "You believe her?" "I believe her." He sat back down. "I've seen too much to dismiss something because it sounds impossible, and Jenna doesn't lie." "What do you need from us?" my father asked. Just like that. No more questions, just, "What do you need?" Love crashed over me. This was family. "I need to prepare," I said. "The outbreak starts June 3rd, 6 months from now. We need supplies, defenses, weapons, medical equipment, and we need to warn the village quietly." My father nodded. "Commander Williams will believe us if we present it right. He's practical." "The $8 million will buy supplies," my mother said, "but we need to be strategic." "We split purchases across multiple vendors," I agreed. "And I have my spatial storage. I can hide everything." "How much can you store?" my father asked. I activated the interface. The system says infinite. "Holy shit," my mother whispered. My father laughed, startled, almost hysterical. "My daughter is a walking warehouse." It gets better. I pulled up additional functions. There's an item copy function. If I store food, the system can replicate it infinitely. It can also raise livestock automatically. My parents stared. Jenna, my mother said slowly, you can feed an entire community indefinitely. You're not just a survivor, you're a game changer. That night, my mother made a feast. Grilled river fish, beef stew, stir-fried vegetables, papaya salad, and steaming rice. She brought out my childhood plate, a white ceramic painted with little green dinosaurs. This, I whispered, tears running down my face, this is what I died missing, what I'd kill to protect. My mother's hand covered mine. Then we'll make sure you never lose it again. After dinner, we spread out maps and made lists. My father sketched defensive positions. We'll need a wall, 20 feet high, reinforced concrete, security cameras, solar batteries, weapons. Food storage, my mother added. Rice, flour, oil, canned goods, medical supplies, seeds. Livestock, I added. I'll store them in my space. We have 6 months, my father calculated. I'll talk to Commander Williams tomorrow. I'll start purchasing supplies, I said. The system can optimize the pattern. Acknowledged. Purchasing strategy generated 47 vendors across 12 cities over 150 days. Suspicion 2%. Cost $6.8 million. Emergency reserve $1.2 million. Efficient little thing, my father said. That night, I slept in my childhood bedroom. 6 months until the apocalypse. But tonight, I was home.
Chapter 4. The Fortress. The next morning, my father and I walked to Commander Thomas Williams's house at dawn. At 68, he was still imposing, broad-shouldered, straight-backed, with gray eyes that missed nothing. He'd been a colonel before retiring to his hometown. He opened the door before we could knock. Robert? He nodded at my father, then me. Jenna, you're back early. Derek causing problems? Something like that, I said. Come in. His living room was sparse but comfortable. Maps on the walls, topographical surveys, tactical layouts, evacuation routes. A retired soldier never stopped being a soldier. You're planning something, Commander Williams observed. I can see it in your faces. Explain. My father and I exchanged glances. We believe our country is heading for severe civil unrest, economic collapse, possible pandemic, social breakdown within 6 months. Commander Williams's expression didn't change. Based on what evidence? Classified military intelligence, I lied smoothly. A contact in the federal government leaked information about a developing crisis, biological in nature, extremely high mortality rate. They're trying to contain it, but they won't succeed? He sipped his tea. And you want Riverside to prepare? Yes. Why tell me? Why not just prepare yourselves and leave? Because we're not the kind of people who save ourselves and abandon our neighbors, my father said simply. Commander Williams studied us both. Then, I believe you. Just like that? I blinked. Just like that, he set down his teacup. I've seen strange things in my military career. Biological weapons, failed containment protocols, government cover-ups. Your story fits patterns I recognize, and your family has never lied to me. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you're wrong, we've wasted resources. If you're right... He stood, looking over the village. We need to move quickly. What's your timeline? 6 months, maybe less. All right, I'll call a village assembly today. Frame it as economic uncertainty preparation, stockpiling food, improving security. The villagers already store supplies. We'll just intensify it. We'll need better defenses, a wall, real fortifications. I'll hire workers from outside the village. Say we're concerned about banditry. Commander Williams pulled out a notebook. Food,
medicine, weapons, fortifications. Anything else? Seeds, livestock, water purification equipment, solar panels. We can't rely on the power grid. I paused. And we should identify useful skills. Doctors, farmers, engineers, soldiers. We have Dr. Anderson, retired surgeon, 3 former military, including your father and me. Half the village is experienced farmers. We're better positioned than most. He studied my face, then extended his hand. I believe you, Jenna Williams. Don't make me regret it. I shook his hand. I won't. Over the next 5 months, Riverside transformed. Workers arrived, Ryan Mitchell's men, I realized. They asked no questions, worked efficiently, and left each evening. The wall went up in sections, 20 feet high, reinforced concrete with steel framework. Security cameras every 50 meters connected to solar-powered battery banks. The construction took 4 months. Foundation work through winter, concrete pouring as spring arrived, finishing touches in May. I spent the $8 million like water. 500 tons of rice from 12 suppliers, 300 tons of wheat flour, 40,000 cans of vegetables, fruits, and meats, 2,000 liters of cooking oil, medical supplies that could stock a hospital, seeds, every variety that could grow in our climate, livestock, chickens, goats, cows, pigs. The system's copy function was miraculous. 1 high-quality chicken became infinite chickens. 1 bag of rice became unlimited rice. Storage status: food, 847 unique types, medical, 312 unique types, livestock, 47 breeding pairs. Capacity used, 0.0003%. I trained daily with my water manipulation. Started small, moving water from cups, then larger volumes, ice formation, pressurization. My father trained me in combat, hand-to-hand, knife work, how to kill quickly and efficiently. I don't want to kill people, I protested. You won't want to, he agreed, pressing a practice knife to my throat, but you'll need to. And when that moment comes, hesitation means death, so we train until it's instinct. In late April, Ryan Mitchell came to inspect the wall construction. I was training in the yard, manipulating water from our well when he arrived. Impressive.
Hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening. If you liked the story and haven't subscribed yet, it really helps the channel. Now let's get back to the story. I whirled, water splashing. Ryan, what are you doing here? Checking on my investment. He gestured at the wall. My men are building it. I like to see results. Your men? I'd suspected, but confirmation still surprised me. Commander Williams hired you? He contacted me 5 months ago, said he needed discreet, skilled workers, paid well, asked no inconvenient questions. Ryan smiled. I appreciate his style. And you just agreed? I owe this village. It raised me when my relatives tried to destroy me. Building a wall is the least I can do. He paused. Besides, you're here, and I find myself curious about a woman who sells her apartment one day and prepares her village for war the next. It's not war, it's survival. Sometimes those are the same thing. He gestured at the water I'd been manipulating. That's not normal. No. Are you going to explain? I considered lying, decided against it. In 5 weeks, the world is going to end. Pandemic, zombies, complete social collapse. I have abilities that can help people survive, so I'm preparing. He didn't laugh, didn't call me crazy, just nodded slowly. Zombies. Yes. And you know this how? Because I've already lived through it once. I died, got sent back 6 months. Now I'm trying to save as many people as I can. The quiet stretched between us. Then, prove it. I raised my hand. The water from the spilled bucket rose into the air, forming a sphere. I compressed it until it became ice, then shaped it into a perfect rose. Then I let it melt and return to the bucket. Ryan watched without expression. You're either insane or telling the truth, and I've met enough insane people to know you're not one of them.
You believe me? I believe you believe it. That's enough for now. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. Why? Because when the zombies come, I'm going to need allies, and you're the most competent person I've met who isn't actively trying to kill someone. I gave him my number. He saved it and sent a text, Ryan Mitchell. When it starts, he said, call me if you need help, or I'll call you. You're planning to survive. I'm planning to rebuild. He looked at the wall, the village, the mountains. This is a good place to start. By late May, Riverside was ready. Walls complete, supplies hidden in my dimensional storage, villagers trained, emergency protocols established. We looked like a fortress preparing for siege, which in 1 week we would be. On June 1st, 2 days before the outbreak, the entire village gathered for a final celebration. Commander Williams stood before everyone. To Riverside, he toasted. To Riverside, everyone echoed. I sat between my parents, grateful for this moment of peace. How are you feeling? My father asked quietly. Scared, ready, determined. That's the right combination. My mother squeezed my hand. You've done everything you could. The rest is up to fate. I don't believe in fate. I believe in preparation. Then we're prepared, she said simply. That night, I stood on the new wall and looked out at the darkened mountains. Somewhere beyond those peaks, the city glowed, millions of people living their last hours of normal life without knowing it. The system spoke. Outbreak, 43 hours, 17 minutes. Status, prepared. Primary mission, collect 1,000 cores. Progress, 0 of 1,000. Village survival, 12% without intervention to 87% with intervention. You've done well, Jenna. Now comes the hard part. I know. The apocalypse was coming, but this time I was ready. Chapter 5, Patient Zero. June 3rd dawned clear and beautiful. I was already awake when the first scream came, 6:47 a.m. I'd been standing by my bedroom window watching sunrise paint the mountains gold. The scream shattered the morning peace like breaking glass. It came from the direction of the city, distant, barely audible, but unmistakable. Pure terror. Then came more screams, overlapping, multiplying, a chorus of horror growing louder with each second. My father appeared in my doorway, already dressed in tactical gear. It started. Yes. The village alarm began to ring. 3 sharp bells. Pause. Repeat. The signal for all villagers to retreat to their homes and lock doors. The radio crackled to life. Commander Williams's voice, calm and authoritative. This is not a drill. Reports from the city indicate a violent outbreak of unknown origin. All village gates sealed. No one enters or leaves without my explicit permission. Stay in your homes. Armed patrols beginning now. My mother joined us, her face pale but steady. How long until they reach us? The infection spreads fast in cities, but we're 40 kilometers away in rough terrain. First zombies won't arrive for at least 36 hours. I activated my system interface. The infection has a 2-hour incubation period if you're bitten, but the initial outbreak creates chaos faster than infection spreads. Radio reports became frantic over the next few hours. 6:52 a.m. Violent incidents reported across all districts. Hospitals are overwhelmed. 7:15 a.m. Military deploying to contain what officials are calling mass rabies outbreak. Citizens advised to shelter in place. 8:30 a.m. Communication with Central Command lost. Repeating, communication lost. 9:47 a.m. Complete radio silence. The city, population 8.3 million, had fallen in less than 3 hours. The villagers gathered in the square at noon, faces reflecting shock and disbelief. Commander Williams addressed them from the wall. What we feared has come to pass. The city has experienced a catastrophic breakdown. We don't know exactly what's happening, but we know it's deadly. Riverside is now on full lockdown, no exceptions. I approached the commander after. The first infected will reach us soon. I should go out and intercept them before they get close. Alone? I'm the only one who can safely engage at this point. You need your armed people here, protecting the walls. I can handle stragglers. He studied my face. You've done this before, in your previous life. Yes. How many did you kill? Hundreds, maybe thousands. I stopped counting. He nodded slowly. Take a radio. Report every hour. If you don't report, we're sending backup. Understood. I armed myself, a machete, a knife, a compound bow with 40 arrows, and my water manipulation abilities. My spatial storage held emergency supplies. My parents met me at the gate. Be careful, my mother said, adjusting my jacket like I was still a child. Always am. No, you're not, my father handed me a tactical vest. You're brave and skilled, but careful is not your strong suit, so let me say it clearly. Don't die. Come home. I will. They watched as I slipped through the gate into the forest. The system guided me toward the most likely approach vectors. Infected detected, count 3, distance 2.7 kilometers, approaching, ETA 18 minutes. I found a good position, a rocky outcrop overlooking the trail with clear sight lines and multiple escape routes. The first zombie appeared at 1:23 p.m. Male, early 30s, wearing business casual clothes, now torn and bloody. He moved with the characteristic jerky, unnatural gait, muscles contracting randomly, joints bending wrong, jaw working constantly. His eyes were milky white, unseeing. He navigated by sound and smell. I knocked an arrow and waited for a clean shot. When he passed directly below, I released. The arrow took him through the back of the skull. He collapsed instantly, a crystalline core the size of a marble rolling from the wound. Zombie eliminated. Crystal core, basic variant. Progress 1 of 1,000. I dropped from the outcrop, retrieved the core and arrow, and stored the core. The body I left. Scavengers would handle it. 2 more zombies appeared within the hour. I killed them efficiently. Progress 3 of 1,000. The killings felt mechanical, clinical. I'd done this so many times in my previous life that my body remembered the movements. Muscle memory transcending death and rebirth. Over the next 5 days, zombies trickled towards Riverside in 1s and 2s. I killed them all, collected their cores, and burned their bodies. By June 10th, the trickle of zombies had stopped almost entirely. Riverside had survived the first week with 0 casualties. But the world outside was ending. Radio broadcasts told the story in fragments. Major cities fallen. Military quarantine zones were established, then overrun. Government evacuating to unknown locations. International borders sealed. Nuclear option being discussed. On June 15th, the radio went completely silent. We were alone. My radio crackled. My father's voice. Jenna, we have visitors at the South Gate. 2 men, armed. One is Ryan Mitchell and the other is Marcus. They look wrong. Come check. I was moving before he finished speaking.
Ryan Mitchell stood beyond the fence with another man I recognized from my previous life, Marcus Taylor. Both were covered in blood and exhaustion. Ryan's expensive suit was gone, replaced by practical combat gear. His face was harder than when I'd last seen him, eyes carrying the weight of things witnessed. Marcus looked shell-shocked, his hands flickering with small flames. Fire abilities manifested. But it was Ryan's chest that drew my attention. Black veins spiderwebbed across his exposed skin, visible at his collar and wrists. Crystallized virus, held in stasis. He'd been bitten. "Miss Williams?" Ryan said when he saw me. His voice was hoarse. "We meet again." "Mr. Mitchell, you came back." I approached the fence cautiously. "Most of my men are dead or turned. The city is lost." He swayed slightly. "Marcus here developed abilities. I developed an immune response. We've been walking for 12 days, haven't eaten properly in 5. We're about to collapse." The commander watched me. "Your call, Jenna. You're our main defense now." I studied Ryan carefully. He could be lying, could be bringing infection here, could be dangerous. But I remembered his eyes when he'd made his promise. I keep my word. Always.
And those black veins? I knew what they meant. In my previous life, I'd never seen anyone survive being bitten. But what if immunity were possible? What if Ryan was the key to everything? Let them in, I decided. But they quarantine for 5 days. Separate building, we watch for infection. Commander Williams nodded. Standard protocol. We opened the gate just wide enough for them to slip through, then sealed it. Ryan and Marcus were led to an empty house on the village edge, far enough that if they turned, we could contain them. I brought them food an hour later. Rice porridge with shredded chicken and ginger, light and healing, along with stir-fried vegetables and fresh bread. They ate like starving dogs, shoveling food into their mouths. Slow down, I warned. Your stomachs aren't ready. Ryan forced himself to stop, breathing hard. Thank you for trusting us. I don't trust you yet, I replied honestly. But Commander Williams does, and I trust his judgment. Marcus spoke for the first time, his voice rough. You have abilities too. It wasn't a question. Yes. I can feel it, like recognizes like. His flames flickered brighter. You're strong, really strong. What's your plan? Long term, I mean. Hide in this village forever? Build something worth protecting. Survive. Help others survive when possible. I paused. What's yours? Same, but I need to know. Those veins on my chest. Am I dying? I could have lied, could have given him false hope or false despair. Instead, I told the truth. I don't know. I've never seen anyone survive a bite before. You might be dying slowly, or you might be evolving. Our eyes locked. But if you survive these 5 days, I'll help you figure it out. Why? Because we need all the allies we can get, and because you kept your word about the apartment purchase. That means something. He smiled, exhausted but genuine. Practical and loyal. I like you, General Williams. Rest. We'll talk after quarantine. Over the next 5 days, Ryan and Marcus showed no signs of infection. The black veins on Ryan's chest didn't spread. Marcus's flames grew more controlled. On day 6, Commander Williams released them from quarantine, and Riverside gained 2 of its most valuable defenders. The apocalypse was only 3 weeks old, and we were just beginning to understand how to survive it. Chapter 6. The Blood Test. The next day, Ryan found me in my yard training. Take off your shirt, I said when we were alone inside. He complied without hesitation, revealing a muscular torso marred by the spreading crystalline pattern. The veins converged on his heart, pulsing faintly with each heartbeat. When were you bitten? I asked, activating my system's analysis function. June 4th, the day after the outbreak. A zombie got through our defensive line, bit my forearm. He showed me the scar, healed but surrounded by black veins. I cut the wound open immediately, tried to drain the infection. Didn't turn, but these appeared within hours. And they've been stable since? Not spreading, not fading, just there. Marcus thinks I'm dying slowly, that I have maybe 6 months before the virus reaches my heart and kills me. I extended my water manipulation senses into his body, a technique I'd been practicing but never used on a human. It felt invasive, intimate, but Ryan sat perfectly still, trusting me. The system interface flickered with data. Analysis, Ryan Mitchell. Infection, zombie virus, crystallized. Viral load, high but contained. Immune response, unprecedented. Antibody production, 347% above normal. Diagnosis? Subject is not dying. Subject is adapting. My breath caught. What? Ryan asked, reading my expression. What did you find? Ryan. I looked up at him, wonder and excitement warring in my chest. You're not dying. Your body is creating antibodies. Your immune system isn't fighting the virus. It's learning from it, containing it, creating a balance. He stared at me. What does that mean? It means your body has done what every scientist failed to do, created a symbiotic relationship with the zombie virus. You're infected, but not consumed. The virus is in you, but you control it. So I'm not going to die? Not from this. I manipulated the water in a glass, needing something to do with my hands. Ryan, do you understand what this means? Your blood is producing antibodies that could be the foundation for a cure, for a vaccine. The quiet filled the kitchen. Then Ryan laughed, a sharp, almost hysterical sound. I came to your village to die somewhere that mattered. Turns out I have to live instead. Yes. He looked at his hands, at the veins that had terrified him for 2 weeks. How long have you known you were special? Since I died the first time. And how does it feel, knowing you're the one who has to save everyone? Our eyes locked. Lonely, terrifying, necessary. Yeah. He took my hand. His was warm, alive, human, despite the virus in his veins. I get that now. We sat in companionable silence, 2 people carrying the weight of humanity's hope. Jenna? Yes? I'm glad it's you. I'm glad I'm not alone in this. I squeezed his hand. You're not alone. Not anymore. Social bond. Ryan Mitchell. Status. Ally. To trusted ally. Note. Subject's antibodies are compatible with the vaccine synthesis protocol. Mission update. Primary, collect 1,000 crystal cores, genetic diversity. Secondary, protect Ryan Mitchell, vaccine-based. Tertiary, find a biochemist for synthesis. There's more, I said, reading the system's new objectives. I have a mission. I need to collect 1,000 crystal cores from zombies. Each core contains unique viral genetic information. Combined with your antibodies, we might be able to synthesize a vaccine. How many do you have? 15. That's going to take a while. Years, probably, but it's possible. I released his hand and stood. There's something else. I need a biochemist, someone who can actually synthesize the vaccine once we have all the components. Ryan frowned, thinking. Then his expression cleared. Marcus? Marcus? Marcus Taylor, the fire user. He wasn't just a chef before the outbreak. He had a PhD in molecular biology, worked for a pharmaceutical company developing antivirals. When the outbreak hit, his lab was overrun. He survived by cooking in abandoned restaurants, said it was easier than facing his failure. My heart raced. Are you serious? Completely. He never mentioned it because he's ashamed, thinks he failed humanity by not stopping the outbreak. Ryan stood. But if you need someone who can synthesize a vaccine, Marcus is your man. We need to talk to him now. We found Marcus in the communal kitchen helping my mother prepare dinner. He'd taken to cooking obsessively since arriving. Marcus, we need to talk, privately. Marcus's expression shuddered. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything is right. Ryan, Jenna, show him. I activated my system's interface and pulled up the vaccine synthesis protocol. Marcus couldn't see the holographic display, but I could describe it. I have access to information, a protocol for synthesizing a zombie vaccine. It requires 1,000 unique zombie crystal cores for genetic diversity, antibody samples from someone immune to the virus, and a skilled biochemist to actually create the synthesis. Marcus went very still. What are you saying? Ryan's immune. His body is producing unprecedented antibodies. I can collect the crystal cores. I already have 15. But I need someone who can actually synthesize the vaccine. I held his gaze. Ryan says you're a molecular biologist, PhD from a pharmaceutical company. Is that true? Marcus's face went white. He told you? Because we need you, Ryan said firmly. This isn't about your past failure. This is about your future success. I've failed once. My lab partners died because I couldn't. Then don't fail twice, my mother's voice cut through his self-recrimination. She'd been listening from the doorway. Everyone fails once, Marcus. The measure of a person is whether they try again. Marcus watched her, then us. His hands were shaking. You really think we can make a vaccine? I know we can, I said, if you're willing to try. He was silent for a long moment, staring at his hands that had held pipettes and microscopes, that had failed to save the world once, that now flickered with fire when he lost control. Then his jaw set. I'll need a lab, equipment, time. You'll have everything, I promised. We have resources, space, and most importantly, we have hope. How long? To collect all the cores? 2 to 3 years at a minimum. To synthesize the vaccine once we have everything? You tell me. 6 months minimum. Maybe 12. Depends on equipment and trial results. He stood, something shifting in his posture. But it's possible. Actually, genuinely possible. Tertiary mission updated. Biochemist Marcus Taylor, confirmed. Vaccine synthesis, feasible. Timeline, 2.5 to 4 years total. 2.5 to 4 years, I said, reading the system's estimate. That's how long we have to collect cores, set up a proper lab, and synthesize the vaccine. That's a long time, Marcus said, but for something this complex, it's reasonable. Then we don't waste time. I looked between Ryan and Marcus. As of now, you're both essential to humanity's survival. Ryan, you're the vaccine base. Marcus, you're the synthesis expert. And I'm the core collector. We're a team. Ryan extended his hand. To the team that's going to save the world. Marcus took it. To not fail twice. I placed my hand over theirs. To humanity. Chapter 7. The Long Hunt. Over the next 2 years, I hunted zombies relentlessly. Every week, I'd venture beyond the walls to areas where the system detected zombie concentrations, sometimes alone, sometimes with Ryan as backup. The kills became routine. Month 2, progress 87 out of 1,000. Month 6, progress 243 out of 1,000. Month 12, progress 512 out of 1,000. Month 18, progress 778 out of 1,000. Month 24, progress 943 out of 1,000. Core analysis. Collection rate, 1.3 cores per day average. Estimated completion, month 26. Meanwhile, Marcus built his laboratory. We raided pharmaceutical campuses, medical facilities, and research centers. Each expedition was dangerous, but necessary. The lab took 8 months to set up properly. Equipment installation, calibration, safety protocols, and power infrastructure. By month 10, Marcus was running preliminary tests on Ryan's antibodies. Ryan and I grew closer during those 2 years, training together, fighting together, building trust through shared danger. On a quiet evening in month 18, he found me on the wall. "How much longer?" he asked. "For the cores, 6 months, maybe 8. Then what?" "Then Marcus needs at least a year to synthesize and test, probably longer." Ryan was quiet. "We're going to make it, aren't we?" "Yes." "I believe you." Took his hand. "I've watched you for 18 months. You never quit, never falter. You're the most determined person I've ever met." "I died once. I'm not doing it again." "No," he agreed. "You're not, and neither am I." In month 22, Derek appeared at the village gates again. This time, he wasn't alone. 50 people stood behind him. Farmers, engineers, doctors, a whole community. "Jenna!" he called. "I brought help, supplies, knowledge. I'm trying to be better." I studied him. 2 years had changed him. He looked healthy, purposeful, alive in a way he never had been in our marriage. "What do you want, Derek?" "To help, to contribute, to earn, not forgiveness, I know I can't have that, But maybe usefulness? I looked at the 50 people behind him. Skilled, desperate, survivors. Commander Williams' decision, I said, not mine. The commander stepped forward. What skills do you bring? Derek's community leader spoke up. 15 trained farmers, 3 doctors, 5 engineers, 10 soldiers. The rest are support staff. We've heard Riverside is building something real. We want to be part of it. Commander Williams looked at me. Your recommendation? We judge people by their actions, not their past. If they work, they stay. If they cause problems, they leave. Agreed. The commander turned to Derek. You're on probation. 6 months. Prove yourselves. Derek's eyes found mine. Thank you. I didn't respond, just turned and walked away. Ryan found me later. That was hard. He made his choices. I made mine. We're different people now. Yes, Ryan agreed. We are. Chapter 8. The Final Push. Month 26 arrived. I stood in the ruins of the dead city, the same city where everything had ended in my previous life. The journey here was Ryan's idea. You need 57 more cores. The highest concentration is in the dead cities. One major expedition could finish it. He was right. So we assembled a team. Me, Ryan, Marcus, and 15 of Riverside's best fighters. We'd spent 1 week fighting through city streets, collecting cores from evolved zombies and massive hordes. Progress, 986 of 1,000. 14 cores left. The system guided me to the final concentration, the city's central hospital, where the outbreak had begun. The building was a nightmare. Thousands had died here. Hundreds of zombies still wandered the corridors. But in the basement, the system detected something unique. Rare variant detected. Evolved zombie, intelligence level 3, genetic value 15x standard core. An intelligent zombie, one of the few that had evolved beyond basic hunger. We found it in the morgue, a creature that had once been a doctor. It moved with purpose, using tools, setting traps. It saw us and smiled. This is going to be bad, muttered Ryan. The creature attacked with strategy. It released controlled zombies as distractions, used the environment, adapted to our tactics. For 30 minutes, we fought the smartest opponent I'd faced since my rebirth. I used water manipulation to corner it, Marcus's fear to limit its options, Ryan's strength to pin it down. When I drove an ice spear through its skull, the crystal core that emerged was massive, twice the size of normal cores, glowing with inner light. Progress, 1,000 of 1,000. Mission complete. Core collection finished. Vaccine synthesis now possible. We stared at each other, exhausted and filthy and victorious. We did it, Marcus breathed. Not yet, I said. Now comes the hardest part. Chapter 9. The Synthesis. Marcus worked for 14 months, combining Ryan's antibodies with viral genetic data from 1,000 unique cores, following the system's protocol and pre-outbreak research data, testing on cell cultures, animal trials, safety protocols, testing, refining, testing again. The village watched and waited. On month 13, Marcus emerged from the lab, eyes bright with cautious hope. I need volunteers, recently bitten but not yet turned, to test the vaccine. 3 people stepped forward, bitten in recent skirmishes, hours from transformation. Marcus injected them with the prototype vaccine. We waited. An hour, 2, 3. The volunteers' fever broke. Their veins stopped darkening. The infection halted. It works, Marcus whispered. Then louder, it works! The village erupted in celebration. Vaccine synthesis successful. Cure rate 94% for recent infections. Prevention rate 99.7%. Humanity has hope. Over the next month, Marcus refined the formula and prepared for mass production. He synthesized additional doses and broadcast the formula on all radio frequencies. Within weeks, responses came from across the continent. Received formula, testing now. Vaccine successful, thank you. replicating and distributing. You saved us. Humanity was fighting back. Marcus also synthesized a cure for Ryan's crystallized virus. Over 6 weeks, the black veins faded completely. He was healed. That evening, Ryan found me on the wall. "Ask me," he said. "Ask you what?" He knelt. "Jenna Williams, will you marry me? Will you help me rebuild this world? Will you let me love you for whatever time we have left?" I pulled him to his feet and kissed him. Yes. Epilogue. 5 years later. Riverside had become a pilgrimage site, not for my powers, but for the vaccine laboratory that had saved humanity. Marcus ran the lab now, training new scientists. The zombie threat hadn't ended. Infected still wandered, but vaccinated humans could rebuild without fear. I stood in our garden, watching Ryan play with our 3-year-old daughter, Lily. His veins were completely clear. He was healthy, whole, alive. My parents taught village children, preserving culture through cooking and stories. Derek had proven himself over 5 years. His agricultural innovations had helped settlements across the region. We weren't friends, but we'd found peace. That evening, we gathered for dinner. Ryan, Lily, my parents, Marcus and his wife Sarah, Commander Williams, Derek and his new family, and dozens of villagers. My mother had made a feast: lamb curry with potatoes, stir-fried vegetables, fish soup, and fresh rice. We ate together, laughing and talking. "What are you thinking?" Ryan asked quietly. I looked around at the life we'd built, at people who'd survived because we'd chosen to fight. I'm thinking about how I died believing love was weakness, and I was reborn to learn it's the only strength that matters. He kissed my temple. Poetic. Later, after everyone left, Ryan and I stood on the wall watching the stars. A radio crackled. "Riverside, European settlement successfully synthesized vaccine. 6 continents are operational. Humanity's going to make it." Ryan grinned. "We won!" "We won," I agreed. I pulled 2 bottles of water from my spatial storage and handed him one. "To second chances," I said. "To humanity. To trust. To love." We drank as stars wheeled overhead. The apocalypse had come. We'd survived, and in surviving, we'd learned the only lesson that mattered. The world ends not when zombies come, but when we stop choosing to be human. We'd chosen humanity every single day, and that made all the difference. The end.